Welcome, everybody, to the Jurassic Park Podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing episode 2 called Resonance from Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Apple was kind enough to let us watch these shows in advance, and we're going to be discussing episode 2 in full spoilers. This is also, you could also call this the Titan Watch podcast if you want. That's like our alternate, our subtitle, I guess, for the Jurassic Park podcast.
We had Dino Watch at one point in time.
That's true.
Yeah.
We did have it. Still might be out there. I don't know. I forget if I'm still hosting that or what. Not the host. You were the host. But yes. Anyway, episode 2, Resonance. Tom, what's going on? Did I introduce ourselves? I'm Brad. You're Tom. Let's talk.
There we go. Yeah, it's all good, man. I'm glad we're doing this on our first take. It's going to be a fantastic recording. Yep.
I am recording. Good. Okay, good. I got that down. Episode 2. There's a lot of fun stuff I think that happens in this one, and both these first 2 episodes, man, kicked me like into gear, dude. I was so excited by both of these, and I know you had mentioned like you thought the first one was a slower start and everything. I'm like full throttle. Both these episodes were fantastic. So
I think this is the episode where I really locked in, and we can kind of talk about why that was in a little bit. But I think what this episode does really well immediately out the gate is we get Keiko and Shaw reunited, but when they're reunited we kind of get confirmation that they recognize Titan X, which I was like, okay, that is really cool, because it immediately ties together the past story and the current story. And I think they kind of did that in season 1 with the Iron Dragon, but they didn't really, like, it was sort of like it appeared in the first episode and that was it, and then they didn't really connect it that much, whereas you kind of get a sense immediately in this episode that this is going to be a bigger connection, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, I really love that. Keiko recognizes the Titan like basically right away. You could tell. You've got those little crustacean things falling off the helicopter. One I think fell off the helicopter onto the ship, and Lee, I think, steps onto the ship. It's just like good old Monarch. And he's got a complicated history, right? Like I forget a lot of those details from season 1 that kind of laid out that history and everything. But he's not been on good terms with them for a while.
No. When we meet him, he's basically imprisoned in season 1. And that's the thing, is like Monarch have kind of got him contained. So I like the fact that he's still so opposed to them, because obviously that in itself, it poses an interesting question, I suppose, of what has led to him feeling so jaded about that relationship with the organization. And is it just the fact that, as we know from season 1, him and Bill were still there once Keiko had left and the organization became very different? Or is it something different? And are we going to explore that in this show? So I think it's cool that they're immediately kind of saying, hey, Shaw is still kind of anti-Monarch in some way.
Yeah. So on the ship, Outpost 18, right? Verdugo, they're kind of like, recovering from that moment in episode
there's
1.
no Verdugo.
no Verdugo, but they mentioned that Verdugo had a kid, so like, man, it just makes it a little upsetting of a moment there. And we learned that, well, who's next in line? Tim.
Yeah.
Tim is like, I called him Reluctant Tim, because he is just not really looking forward to this, and he's not confident in himself and his abilities to lead, this kind of charge here. And Lee comes in, and he's like, what are we doing? Where are we going? What's happening?
Yeah.
Why are we not following? Why are we not moving? What's going on? And I appreciate Lee for being one to kind of like kick Tim into gear. Tim's like, all right, let's go follow them and see what happens.
I find it really interesting, because what does that say about Tim's position in the hierarchy? Like, as far as we understand, he was like a basement office dweller, right? Like, he was your Fox Mulder before all of this happened. But actually, that suggests that maybe he had a higher position in Monarch than we realised, to actually suddenly become the second in command. There is something here. So my notes, I kind of make them as I go through the episode, so I don't know if it's happened at this point or if it comes afterwards slightly. But around this point as well, we get a shot of the Titan and it's next to a whale to really give you the sense of scale of this creature. And I literally made a note here that was, love how the underwater shot felt a little Rebirth-esque. So one of my favourite shots from Rebirth is where you've got the mast of the boat and then the mosasaur kind of in the background to really give you that sense of scale. And this had that effect here where the whale is kind of used as the boat to really give you a sense of scale for this Titan.
Yeah, that Titan, dude, it is cool to see in motion like
that.
But as far as Tim's concerned, let's remember that he had 2 years to rise through the ranks.
Yeah.
So, he did start out
in
really
a fair
lowly
point.
position.
I didn't think of that.
And who knows what happened in these 2 years between there. So it's cool to see like he's somehow gotten to this position where, people will trust him, I guess, to take care of things. But we also see that crustacean thing, which I was tired of writing crustacean in my notes, and I just started calling him Krusty. So I started calling him Krusty, and then I
Krusty with an I, right?
No, this was just a Y. I just started calling them Krusties. So anyway, this Krusty is stalking the hallways of the ship and attacks somebody in a lab. I don't know if that person was named or anything like that, but attacks this person in the lab, gets kind of bloody there. That's kind of it's creating some fun stakes, I think, and very Jurassic feel, right? For having like a singular, creature stalking you in tight quarters and things. So that was cool.
It makes it feel quite deadly and dangerous, which is cool. And there's another element there. I'll come on to it in a second. I did just want to pull out a couple more details from Tim, which I think are quite interesting.
Oh yeah, let's go back to
which
Tim.
Are, firstly, during that whole conversation, you have them reference Director Barris. So something we spoke a lot about during season 1 was, if Verdugo is not the director, who is? Have we ever seen them? And this confirms that this is a new character, and it's the Monarch director is never in the films, which is quite interesting. So that's the first kind of detail there. But also, there's a line where Tim says they have to wait for orders from Washington. And I love how that feels like a subtle nod to the amount of bureaucracy that Monarch is tied up in, because that's kind of the sense that you get from Monarch in the 2014 Godzilla film, right? Is that actually they're not very effective. A lot of what they want to do is often stopped by committees and those sorts of things. So I loved how that was a little way of reinforcing that this isn't the Monarch from King of the Monsters yet. We are still a Monarch that is kind of struggling to do what it should be doing. But to your point about the crustacean going through the ship, what that sequence does show us, at least, is that this is a ship that looks very futuristic. And some of the interior locations feel a lot like the interior of the USS Argo, which I thought was quite cool.
Yeah, and I guess speaking about the military or the Washington aspect of it, it does give me like, feels like season 1, right? Where Monarch was becoming like this hand of the military in a way. So it makes sense that they're still on that path to a certain extent. And as far as the ship, one thing I forgot that I was thinking about when I was watching that thing stalk the hallways and everything was Alien. Dude, it's straight out of Alien. Like that kind of, even the TV series. What was that called? I'm blanking on the name of that one at the moment, but that show had a lot of moments like that. Alien Earth, there's like hallways and creatures running through hallways into labs and killing people. I mean, that's in all the Alien movies, but that's what this felt like, at least. So going back to the past, though, we're back in Santa Soledad, 1957.
Yes.
So I love it, dude. I know you're on that same level as me. When I see a place, a location, and a date, I am writing them down. Dude, every single time.
When I see Saint Hubert, French New Guinea, writing it down.
But we're here. We're in this village from the first episode, and Bill finds some artwork that kind of like shows like a migration pattern of sorts, and he assumes that the creature could just be elsewhere at the moment, and he's like, all right, so let's pack up. Let's go on the hunt and find some other stuff. Let's study elsewhere. And Keiko's like, no. Well, the science is here. Let's do the work here before we do anything else. So there's a little bit of tension there, and this want to, I think it starts to show this want and need from Bill to pursue and to move, to constantly be in motion, I think.
Yeah.
So it plays into his character a little bit there.
That's a really interesting observation, actually, about him. I think the things that stood out to me in this moment are, one, Keiko makes a comment about something enriching the waters. So you can kind of get a sense for why these people might be gathered around this thing. It's sort of like there's clearly something that's happening here that is beneficial for humans. But also, what I really liked was they still use the acronym MUTO. So when they're describing it, they describe it as a MUTO. And I thought that was really cool, because obviously that's what the name for the Titans was before they were more widely referred to as Titans. So the creatures in Godzilla 2014, you don't actually know what they are. They're just called MUTOs. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. But going back to the current timeline, we were on the ship again, and now we've got
with Captain Tim.
Captain Tim. Director Barris has ordered them to follow the Titan and drop all other orders other than securing Shaw and bringing him in. So that's still part of their orders there. But Tim, the good guy that he is, he didn't see those orders. They got a little garbled up or whatever he says. He's not going to follow those orders. So he somehow he's the only one who heard those orders or saw them or read them, and no one else knows to bring in Shaw, I guess, at that moment. But the Titan is getting away, and they're already at full power on this ship. But this Titan is basically heading straight into this port or something like that. There's a bunch of ships holding steady in this one area, and they need to catch up to this thing.
It's like a shipping lane it's going into, isn't it?
True. Yeah. Something like that. I think they call it. Was it the Strait of Malacca or something like that? I wasn't sure if that was the accurate location.
That sounds familiar.
But Keiko, I think, is the one who convinces them to increase the speed, even though they're like, this thing's gonna fall apart, like if we keep going faster. So
there's a couple of things I really like here. I like how when Shaw and Lee, that's the same character, Tom. When Shaw and Tim are going back and forth with each other, Tim brings it back to their mission statement of discovery and defense in a time of monsters, which I think is a really cool moment. But also I like how it then gets referenced back to Bikini Atoll with defense alone not working, because I feel like there's such a little piece of social commentary there around the creation of the atomic bomb, right? Because that's what's used at Bikini Atoll. But also there is that wider piece of actually when is a defensive action no longer a defensive action, right? When is it crossing into the line into something worse? And I think it's cool that this kind of hints with that, because I think that is so much in terms of the films, especially in King of the Monsters, with the oxygen bomb that Admiral Stenz wants to use, that there is so much that kind of argument there about, well, actually, is this a reasonable proportionate response? So I just like how it's kind of building onto that theme of when do you use military force, when don't you, that kind of thing.
Yeah. But we jump back to the past again, and Bill, the Bill that he is, he decides to leave, and Keiko and Lee stay behind to study. So Keiko opens up about her, I think it was her past husband. I forget if she said husband or not, but that he got sick and he died, and that.
Oh, I made a note here because clearly I didn't remember much of season 1, because in episode 1 I was like, oh my god, what if the reveal's going to be that Hiroshi is actually Lee's son? And then when we got into this episode, I was like, yeah, I've just completely forgotten a lot of the major plot of the first season.
I know.
Fantastic.
I had that thought cross my mind as well. Because you're thinking about how can we make this more dramatic? And trust me, the story itself doesn't need any more dramatics. It's got its own mess there. But yeah. It did cross my mind as well, but she opened up about her past husband dying, and the fact that Bill is the person that like will love her and allow her to be her own person. So like I was struggling. I was like not sure how to read into this scene too much because it was like good for her, I guess, that that Bill was leaving and doing his thing, but also letting her do her
Yeah,
thing. He wasn't being, I guess, controlling over the situation and saying like, "No, you got to come with me. Like, let's go." He's like, "No, no, no. You want to
yeah.
keep studying? You keep doing you." But it also shows a bit of Bill too, how he like is willing to just go do his own thing. So it's interesting. But at that point, she ends up feeling something. She feels a vibration in the ground. They're
Mm.
in this cave, I think, at this point, and she. It's like I'm trying to register how is the person feeling this moment in time because Lee is not sensing anything at all. Like I think she says like, "Do you hear that?" or something. And he's like, "No, I don't know." But like she's feeling something, a vibration, but like also I don't know if she's hearing something or what, but we hear it, we can feel it
Mhm.
and hear it. So I thought that was pretty cool though. And I don't know what's going on there, but it was interesting.
I think it's really interesting when you have one character sensing something that another can't, because
Mm,
I don't know if you know much of the mythology, and I don't know a huge amount of it, but I remember when Mothra made the appearance
yep.
in King of the Monsters. There's a big thing about the twin
The
doctors who are
twins,
seen
yeah.
with Brooks. Yeah, there's a big thing about them in I think the original Toho lore. They have like
Yeah.
a spiritual connection with Mothra. So I was immediately kind of sat here like, oh, is there something more to this? Is there something to do with Keiko's lineage, which could be interesting to explore?
Yeah, well, I instantly thought of them, the twins there, and there's
Mhm.
that, and then there's also, I mean, in Godzilla versus Kong and X Kong. I forget the girl's name, but the young girl who like has that
Yeah.
connection with Kong, at some point, and then
Oh, Gia.
becomes
Yeah.
yeah, she becomes like a much grander part of that like connection to these
Yeah.
creatures, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I was like, is this a step in that direction? I don't really know. Is it something that he's just an idiot and he's not sensing like what's going on here?
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's
But
it's very much in the MonsterVerse wheelhouse, isn't it? Which is cool. Like whenever they do something like
mhm.
this that's a bit left field, it
Oh yeah,
always feels like it's grounded in the playbook of the films.
for sure. Back on the ship, they decide that they want to create like a frequency that can call the Titan, and
Yes,
I'm like, bro,
yes,
what
dude.
in the King of Monsters is
I've
happening
got
here,
in
dude?
capital letters. I've just got in capital letters. Wonder if this is going to connect to the Orca.
Yeah, dude. Instantly, I'm thinking of the Orca device, and I'm just like, how are we getting
Yeah,
there? What's going on? This is awesome. But again, we're cutting back to the past, and the locals they find them in the cave, and
yeah.
at this point, I'm like, I absolutely do not trust these people at all. They're like, hey, there's a
So
festival tonight. You should come by the festival. And I like Lee's
yeah,
like, no, 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 thank you. I didn't know we have to go. And but Keiko's like, yes, okay, we'll be there. And he's like,
yeah.
uh, so they do accept to go to this festival. Any comments or anything about this? It's a very short sequence in the cave, I guess there.
I
But
just made a note, which is they explain it as people in the area are worried fish will not come with outsiders, which I thought was
mhm.
quite interesting.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's very much, and it builds on almost like the I mean, obviously these people aren't, they're not like a low technology civilization or anything. This is a
Mm-mm.
modern
No.
fishing village. But the way it's kind of handled was almost giving me callbacks to, is it the Iwi tribe that's on Skull Island?
Mm.
And kind of the way that they're handled in terms of they're quite reclusive. It feels
Sure,
quite
yeah.
similar.
Yeah. Um, which is Gia, wasn't she from that tribe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, all right. So back to the ship. Keiko is sitting with her son Hiroshi, and I just noticed that like I wrote down that she just looks so content. I just loved that, because
Yeah.
what a world that she's living in right now, and him too. The fact that like he had no mother for so long, and she left a boy in the past, and then he came out and he's an adult. What a weird situation, but like she just looked content in that moment, and I appreciated that. But yeah, this is the part where they actually, in order to send out the frequency to call the Titan, they send out a drone, and I'm like, dude, this drone, they could have just sent out any old drone, any shape they wanted to, but this thing looked exactly like the ship from King of the Monsters. That is a massive.
I literally have a note. Yeah.
It's
the
crazy.
drone almost being a mini Argo is cool.
Yeah, I could not believe
and also
it,
like not only the fact that there's that reference, but also you get the really nice moment of Keiko reacting to seeing a drone for the first time as well, to just further reinforce that this technology is so far from what she's used to.
Yeah, it's interesting. What, like, again, with that weird dynamic of the past and the present, like she's surprised by stuff like that, but then you also have Lee, who's there, who's like, he knows all about drones and technology and all this stuff too.
Yeah.
But it's like they're from the same time period, but they're vastly different, in their life experience. And I just think it's an interesting dynamic there. But yeah, they send out that mini Argo, which I cannot be a coincidence in this world that it looks like that.
I really hope we're building to the Argo. Like seeing that ship again would make my life. I mean, that's a slight exaggeration. It wouldn't make my life, but it would make me very happy.
It would make you very happy. We also see that Krusty, he's running around those hallways. He runs past Kate's room. She's just like chilling in her room or whatever. And then she spots the bloodstains on the wall, and she is terrified. She tries to call for help, but that doesn't work. So she grabs a fire extinguisher. Yeah. And I'm wondering, what is that going to do? But they're trying, also back up in the control room, they're trying to get that drone, I think, a little bit too close. And they end up crashing the thing. There's a look from, I forget who it was, like maybe Lee to Tim or something like that. He's just like, come on, dude.
Well,
like,
this is the thing I love, is it in this moment, it's not so Monarch don't want to get close. It's Lee who is pushing them closer, and he like takes control of the joystick and then crashes out. And I love how this is kind of like a microcosm that Shaw's risk taking has ramifications here. Like they are trying to use this drone to track this asset. They've lost it because of his actions, and now real people are in danger. I like how that gives Shaw's abrasiveness real consequences, because I think a lot of the time, especially in kind of season 1, you see that he is a risk taker. And sometimes when you take a risk, it's not you who gets put in danger, it's the people near you.
He's a criminal to them. He's somebody who's tried to ruin their operations.
Well, and we still don't know what he did, right? So
but in their case, they're just like, arrest the guy, he's messing with us. But he's still acting a little brash there, I guess. But they crash the drone. But cutting back to the Krusty guy, Kentaro shoots Krusty with the flare gun. And
dude, I have a note here in all capitals that is just, where are the Monarch security personnel? Like, how are they on this advanced ship and there's just no security patrols?
Nothing. Even after she calls on the radio, like, nobody showed up. I mean, it was fast. I mean, you're talking only like 30 seconds, a minute or something like that, probably, for stuff to play out. But the crazy thing is that this Krusty sends out this massive scream.
Dude,
that
I
obviously
love this.
alerts a Titan.
Yes. Yeah. I made a note. I love how it's a reference to real world predation, right? Like, that is what happens, especially in pack behavior. When a member of the pack is in trouble, they'll let out a call, and then the rest of the pack will come running. I just thought that was so smart.
Yeah. It's
and also, can we talk about the symbiosis between Monster X and these kind of crustaceans being around it? Because what it really made me think of is arguably one of the original monster films that I think Monsterverse borrows tone from, which is the Cloverfield monster, and the way that the parasites work with the monster in that film.
And you know who's in 10 Cloverfield Lane? Lane? Bill Randa.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
uh, but yeah,
Oh,
where are
God.
we? So yeah, that thing.
I love how that was just where your brain went on that. Just like, yeah, the same actors in it. Moving on.
That's how my brain works. I anytime I watch a movie now, I can't help but just think of all of the actors who are in like a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Or like something like that. I'm like, that person's from this and this person's from that. So I get distracted by that very easily. But yeah, so the thing turns back towards them and we get to cut again to the past. And
Yeah.
this is where I'm getting really uneasy about this festival.
Yeah.
It's the festival's beginning. And I absolutely, again, do not trust these people whatsoever. And I'm having flashbacks to what do you call it, to Halloween Horror Nights. Now a few years ago there was a house, I'm blanking on the name, I should have looked it up, but this house anyway, it's like a village where I think they're sacrificing you as like you're like the tourist kind of walking through this village and eventually getting to the end. And it's so much like that, this old wooden village that like
Mm.
has this massive festival going down. They're preparing for the festival, the food and everything. And then there's this courtyard area just like this where there's like, something happening in the middle of this courtyard. And I'm like, dude, this is exactly like that. This is freaking me out. I'm getting weird vibes. They give them some wine and I'm like, I don't trust that wine. Don't trust that wine.
Yeah.
Kiko's like wandering around to like dance and stuff like that. Or Keiko, I said her name wrong. She's wandering around. She starts dancing. She's like feeling it. You know something's wrong, right? Like they're either very drunk off of one sip of wine, or they're being drugged in some manner. I don't know, but you start to know stuff's going wrong again when the fishermen are bringing out. Well, actually, my mind kind of flip flopped a little bit in this moment. The fishermen are bringing out this massive like fish and they set it
Yeah.
up at the center of this like ceremonial
It's
like
like strung up on a
yeah
like sacrificial altar, basically, isn't it?
sacrificial altar. It's like strung up there and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I've had the wrong feelings about these people this whole time. And I'm like, okay, maybe this is some just ritual. That's because the entire time this one of the people and the villager and I think like the bartender person are like, this is just what they do. It's like their thing. We don't really believe it per se, but like we're just kind of going along with it. It's fun. And so I'm maybe thinking, okay, maybe they're telling the truth a little bit, and that okay, they're just gonna they're not sacrificing this fish, this massive fish thing. They're just gonna cut it open and we're all gonna cook food and fish, eat fish for dinner or something. But then they start putting the blood on their heads, and I'm like, okay, maybe we're maybe we're back on that weird train again here. So it was a great sequence though.
Yeah, I felt like so I made a few notes during the whole thing, which is they refer to the monster as the great god of the sea, which I thought was really cool because again, it's this idea that actually for some cultures the titans appear almost godlike, which I think is quite cool. They also use plush models of the parasites as a part of the festival, which I thought was cool because again, it shows that they know that this thing's been going on for a while. They've got these plush models prepared, so that was quite interesting. And then also to the point in episode 1, we get an answer about what the blood mark and I think the tattoo is, and that is the Titan's jewel eye, which is really, really cool. Like it just is a interesting way of again connecting the ritual through to the Titan.
Yeah, it's a very cool sequence. I love the visuals of it all. It looks very cool, and it creates a lot of tension. And I'm getting a little afraid, but we're back now into the current timeline. They're on the ship again, and they need to get the crusty guy off of their ship to draw the Titan away because that Titan is coming straight for them, and that thing's fast, and they are slow. So they bring out this little boat. And what's his name? Lee gets on there with the crusty guy, and now we know Kate is hearing something. I don't know what's happening. It seems like maybe it's in relation to what Keiko was doing before, but we don't really know. There's no, more to that really at that moment. But we do see Lee at that point driving the boat away, and I don't know. I'm like kind of like Lee's cooked again. Like in the first episode, I'm like, wow, I can't believe, man, we're just getting one episode of Lee, and now I'm like, oh, dude, Lee's cooked, man. He's gonna get. There's no way out of this situation. He's in a small boat versus a Titan. Absolutely cooked. But yeah, any thoughts on that sequence there?
I definitely thought he was in trouble as well. I remember as well. I think this is all of the footage we saw of Lee in the trailers. So I was a bit like, oh god, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, we cut back to the past again. Everybody's the festival's over, I guess. So it's just done. They're all kind of going back. The villagers. What's that?
Party's done.
Party's done. And the villagers do kind of threaten a little bit that their secret will remain a secret. I'm like, okay, well, where are you going? Like, they're not like actively like attempting to kill them or anything. So it's like, it's a little weird situation, but, Keiko begins to feel something again. She's starting to feel something. I love these parallels, dude. These parallels from the past to the present to the future, whatever.
It's so well handled throughout, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. It's so cool to see, Keiko is feeling something in this timeline, but then Kate's feeling something in the future timeline, and then back to her feeling something here again. Lee doesn't feel it at first, but then I think he does.
There's an interesting question there as well of actually, is the reason why Keiko doesn't feel it in the current timeline because she's been in Axis Mundi now? And does that change it for whatever reason?
Yeah, I was wondering that as well, because I don't know if there was a focus on her. So I was wondering that. I kind of didn't think of it at the moment, but I thought of it after. I was like, is there a focus on her in that moment so we can see? Or is it just become the norm for her where it's not a big deal at this point? Well, I guess it should be. It's really not that much time that has passed for her still. But yeah, so we do get that moment. But Lee feels it because it becomes very apparent, because I think at this point, all the Krusties are coming out of the cave and they're starting to. So of course he's going to feel it at that moment. But they start to run and hopefully try to find somewhere to hide. But yeah, I love that moment where like all those creatures are coming out of the ground and stuff. It's creepy. I hate moments like that with bugs and things. So it's definitely one of those weird moments for me. But back on the ship, we've got Lee driving back towards the ship area. Lee is driving the boat. Titan's up there directly behind him, and it reveals its face in that moment. I'm like, oh, dude, this thing is horrifying. Don't like it. And Lee throws that crusty thing. I don't know how this is going to work out for him, but he's like, I'm going to throw this thing off the ship. Yeah. What was it? What'd you call him? Poor Mr. Krabs?
Poor Mr. Krabs. Yeah.
Aye, Captain. I'm going to go back to my Lee's SpongeBob or something. I don't know. But he attempts to drive out of that situation through a wave because there's no other way to get out, because there's this massive Titan.
It's a very
creating
dramatic wave moment. I thought it was quite cool.
It was very, very cool to watch this wave go out. And again, I'm like, oh yeah, everybody has that moment where they're like, nah, he just got hit. He's dead. And no, it's a fake out because he rides free from the wave and
he cuts to black, and then Shaw comes out of the wave afterwards.
Yeah. It's again another one of those situations where you definitely saw that wave crash down on him, but like the next shot is like, oh, it's still curling, and he flies right out, and you're like, he's out. But we cut back to the past, and the Krusties are running through the village, and the Titan breaks through the water, and and they hide in this little shack, Lee and Keiko, and I'm just like, that's not going to do anything. So I'm wondering at this moment, okay, so the people aren't threatening them, so the people in the village they are threatening them with words, but they're not trying to actively kill them or anything.
Yeah.
So they're just leaving it up to the bugs, the crustaceans, and
bugs,
and to the Titan, whatever they are, They're leaving it up to them to kill him. So I guess that's what their plan is at that moment. But cut to black, end of the episode. Who knows what happens
Brad,
next.
how are you not talking about the coolest detail?
What was it?
The color changing on Titan X. So the fact that it's like we get it in this episode because it's when I first made the note. You see that it's blue at first, and then when it's angry, it turns to red, which is really cool. But while we've been recording, I've been sat and I've had an epiphany. This creature is responding to like vocal modulation and that kind of stuff, right? We've seen that. Do you know what other creature has the ability to change color when it's calm or angry? Mothra. Who's the first animal we see the orca used with? Mothra.
I like your epiphanies, man.
Just gonna let you percolate for a little bit.
See, that's what you're good for, man. You're hitting me with the good facts, and I love it. I did love that color change. I do think the creature is very horrifying looking to an extent, but at the same time beautiful because of that coloring and everything. So it's kind of like a creature that it's hard to read, right? Like I don't really know what its structure is, what it really is. I know it's full of tentacles and it's got a massive body to some extent, but it's also got this symbiotic relationship with these creatures that are all over it, and it's got the lighting. It's very, very cool. I feel like these creatures throughout all these things, like what's that one? There's the one in Godzilla X Kong, I think. Is it the one that like is underwater, right? It's like deep underwater. What is that one?
Scylla, the snake. Yeah.
Doesn't it? It makes
it's kind of like
Godzilla, like the pink Godzilla, right? Like how it gets
its
power.
Yeah, doesn't he like eat it and absorb its power?
I think he like inhales it or something. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so there's a lot of lovely color changing like that. It does remind me of Godzilla's spikes as well, with the kind of vibrating color change too that goes through there when it does the atomic breath. But yeah, these things are awesome, dude, and they've conjured up another creature that is scary, and if it's in the water, dude, I'm terrified, and it's got all kinds of elements that make me scared, but it's also beautiful. So
I think that's such a good way to explain it. It's a really cool new Titan.
Yeah, but that's episode 2. I think it's full of a lot of really good details, and it's starting to unlock some interesting things with.
It's interesting seeing where it's going to go moving forward.
Yeah, interesting things like with potential, the feeling the vibrations and things like that with Kate and Keiko, and also just like the stuff that Bill's working on.
I am literally an idiot. I'm an idiot, Brad. The feelings and vibrations are why this episode's called Resonance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like that. The resonance. Okay. Makes sense. There we go. Look at you with the insights. You're on that good frequency, my guy. So appreciate that. But episode 2 in the books. We got episode 3 to look forward to next time. Some good stuff happens there as well. Some fun stuff I can't wait to talk about. But until then, Tom, where can everybody talk Titans with you around the web?
Yeah, if you come and find me on Castle Bravo Outpost, it's near where the Bikini Atoll incident happened. Or failing that, Instagram and Twitter, Tom_Jurassic, or YouTube Jurassic Collectibles.
All right, nice. I guess I'm over on Skull Island somewhere.
Nice.
Well, doing the Jurassic Park podcast every other week or so, and live streams every week over on YouTube. Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Check those out. Talking all Jurassic news from around the world. Also on Grim Grinning Hosts, talking about theme parks and pop culture and all kinds of fun stuff over there. And the Forcecast, talking about Star Wars. And make sure to go over to Letterboxd and find my dumb movie reviews over there. Just search for @BradJost. I'm just watching lots of movies. I feel like I'm on a worse path than last year. I'm not watching as many, which is defeating me at this point. But there's been so much happening, I feel like, and the Olympics have been on and lots of things. So this is coming out probably way past the Olympics, but, whatever. At that time, there's been a lot to watch otherwise. A lot of TV, a lot of good stuff to watch. This show. So I got to catch up on some movies, though. You seen any good movies recently in the theaters?
28 years later, The Bone Temple.
Don't, man. Don't tell me. Don't say anything about it. I still have not
Dude,
seen
it's
it, and
so
I'm dying
insanely
to see
good.
it. I'm dying to see it.
So
man.
I'll be honest with you, 28 years didn't really land for me. There was a lot in 28 years that I didn't really like. 28 years, The Bone Temple course corrected everything I didn't like.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard, man. But the thing is, I liked 28 Years Later. I liked it. It's weird, man. It is weird, but I liked it, and I think
it very much feels like 3 films in one. Like Act 1 feels like its own film, Act 2 feels like its own film, and Act 3 feels like its own film. And I feel like they're progressively worse films.
Really? I think the end of that movie, like the way that it. So this is
it's quite a beautiful ending,
but it's like if you watch just the marketing for it, you're like, oh my god, I'm horrified at where this movie could potentially go. But when you get there, man, it's unlike anything.
Dude, well, the marketing the thing that blows my mind is how the film recontextualizes the marketing, because you know what the poster was, right? Yeah. So it's literally that moment, which is insane.
Exactly. It gives you like this like dreadful feeling when you're looking at that poster, and it's a completely different feeling when you're watching the movie, and it's kind of wild how they were able to do that, and I love that. So I'm very excited to see that other one. I know it's at home now. I can probably just rent it or something, but yeah, I'll have to keep an eye out for that one soon. But anyway, catch us next time, episode 3, Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. We'll be back with the Titan Watch podcast, courtesy of the Jurassic Park Podcast. Stay safe, be kind, and enjoy. Tom doesn't have the sunglasses this time. Goodbye, everybody.
Be safe, be kind, rewind.